All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome, sir. I'm Gauri Mehta, the co-lead of the Women's Health Team from SAC, and I welcome you all to today's session on everything about PCOS. This in collaboration with our organizing partners, Clinicase. So, a little insight into what today's is going to be about. Starting with an average of 4 to 20% of menstruators have PCOS. This not only affects their physical as well as mental health and commonly associated with hormonal imbalances affecting mood, irregular cycles, excessive hair growth, and various other such troubling features. So, broadly, we'll be covering what PCOS is, its causes, evaluation, diagnosis, treatments, and all the questions that you have. Our guest speaker for today will definitely answer them. Over to today's co-moderator, Avantika.
Hi guys, good evening. I'm Avantika Singh. I'm also the co-lead of Women's Health Team under SAC, and I welcome you all to for this webinar. I would also like to welcome our guest speaker for today, Dr. Ankesh Sahitya, for joining us. Dr. Ankesh Sahitya did his MBBS from Padma Shri Dr. D.Y. Patil Medical College, Navi Mumbai, DGO from Novrosti Wadia Maternity Hospital, Mumbai, DNB from Leelavati Hospital and Research Center, Delhi, MNAMs in OBGY, and has completed MRCOG Part 1 in March 2015. He has taken an ultrasound training course in basic OBGYN at Chikitsa Sonography Center, has done a fellowship in advanced laparoscopy at EVA Hospital, Ahmedabad, and has also done a color Doppler ultrasound training course in obstetrics at Mediskin, Chennai. He currently works as a consultant at Pushpa Hospital, Mumbai.
Thank you so
It's an
much.
honor to have you, sir, with us, and it's my privilege to be moderating this session. Thank you, sir, for joining in today.
Thank you, Avandika. Thank you, Gauri. Very kind of you. You're a very sweet and very hardworking girls to be online at 9 p.m. on a Saturday night, and I really admire that. So the future is in good hands, I can say, if you guys are doing all this. So very good. So all I would say is that let's start because it's way past the dinner time of many of you all, and I don't know what time you have dinner, but whatever. We can start.
So we can start the event right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Or everyone's video is off, I think, purposely. Anyways, take it. You can see me. That's okay enough for me. But for interaction, if you want to put your videos on, then it will be better. Up to everybody in the audience. I've already shared my details on Instagram and on the chat. If anybody has any doubts after this, anyone has any individual doubts, I can even take them up there. If this doesn't cover the entire session in the time permitted. Are we good? You all want to start with the questions? We can take that up and we can go in detail with that.
So we don't have any questions as of now in the chat. Maybe you
I
can
got
start.
I got a flyer from this one Avandika that had some good questions. So what I'll advise you over here, if you just open up that the brochure you shared with me, there was a lovely this thing thing called highlights of the session. Okay, Stella has gone off mute. Okay, fine. So now I can take the questions over here. So I'll go over the highlights and then wherever this goes on, we can lead and all of you can get involved. So now the highlights are what is PCOS. Can I start with that?
Yes, sir, definitely.
So PCOS is actually my livelihood now. I've been seeing at least 10 new PCO patients every week for the last, you can say, for a good 10 years. So it's what I specialize in. PCOS is a metabolic disorder. It's also called as PCOD or PCOS. They are one and the same thing, polycystic ovarian syndrome. So what this does is basically this is a disorder comprising of a hormone imbalance which leads to 4 to 5 symptoms which are interlinked. First and mainly is weight gain with irregular periods. Many girls also develop hormone imbalances like having the male sex hormone in a high amount. They develop acne, abnormal hair growth, hair fall, pigmentation, things like that. Then they also develop conditions like mood changes, excessive body dysmorphia, stress, depression. It's a conglomerate syndrome with a number of signs and symptoms. Depending who has what, they are labeled as an obese PCO or a non-obese PCO depending on the weight gain. So it's a hormone disorder which patients usually go to a gynecologist. They come to me and they come for irregular periods, and along with the irregular periods we do their hormone evaluation and we get to know if they have PCOS or not. And it comprises basically of okay, I'll come to that later. Now, what are the causes of PCOS? The causes of PCOS namely are the lifestyle issues with poor sleep, irregular sleeping pattern, uh, junk food eating a high carbohydrate meal, eating a low protein meal, a lot of sweet things, a lot of these breads, burgers, buns, bread, McDonald's, KFC, all the yummy stuff is actually not good. So all the fast food, all these things like which we tend to order from the home delivery apps to come in quickly, ice creams, brownies, cakes, sweets, excessive intake of all these things causes excessive body sugar. Body sugar causes excessive insulin, and the raised insulin causes all these issues which I just mentioned, whatever I have seen over here. So the causes are basically it's a lifestyle issue, could be genetic also. Sometimes if you have an obese mother who's had PCOS, you could develop PCOS, but more or less it is your current lifestyle that causes all these things. Now, evaluation and diagnosis. Now, how do you evaluate someone with PCOS? Now, it's very simple. When a patient comes to you with PCOS, you end up doing hormone tests for them. What I do primarily is I do a combined sonography to say the ovarian volume and the ovarian size if the patient has genuinely polycystic ovaries, because PCOS stands for polycystic ovaries, number of cysts in the ovaries. So that comprises of PCOS. The next thing is blood tests. There are various blood tests, the hormone tests. The male sex hormone, the female sex hormone, the thyroid hormone, prolactin, insulin are done when a patient comes with PCOS. Thirdly, along with all this, we're also counseling the patient regarding their diet, their lifestyle. Sometimes patients open up about their stress and they talk about how thin they used to be or how they get compared for their weight, things like that. So it's a psychological thing also. So you will tackle that for them. The next thing is, the whole idea is how do you manage this? It definitely takes a long time. Now, if somebody is 15, 20, 30, 40 kgs above their expected body weight, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes around 6 to 10 months. It has to be a consistent effort of diet, exercise, workouts, lifestyle modification, things like that. So I always tell the patients to go easy and lose around 1 to 2 to 3 kgs maximum a month, and then maintain that for the next 10 months, and we are done. But of course, it's easier said than done. Consistency is the key, and I always tell patients to follow up more often and not to lose the steam they had when they came to me first time. Now, how do you effect on the menstrual cycle? Definitely. So PCOS basically causes irregular periods, scanty periods, delayed periods. Now, a normal period should come within 30 or max 35 days. When the period is beyond 35 days, very scanty in amount, we have patients who have not got period for 1 year, 4 months, 6 months, absent periods. Those patients definitely require evaluation of PCOS. But what PCOS does to the cycle is it makes the cycling more scanty and more spaced apart, causing multiple issues with the periods. Periods means water retention. Water retention means weight gain, unhappiness, bloated. They feel very low morally. What is treatments and their success? So again, treatment again is very good success rate if the patient is consistent with weight loss. The more the patient loses weight faster, the easier it is to get the hormones on track. When the hormones come on track, it's very easy to get the patient to have a regular period cycle every month. Also, in the future, if this patient wants to get pregnant, wants to conceive, it's very important to get regular periods. So that's how it goes. I think I've spoken quite a bit now. If you want to take up some questions in the audience.
Yes, sir. I think it's very clear that you made about lifestyle modifications playing the important role in PCOS. We have a lot of questions about how we should inculcate weight loss and adopt other lifestyle modifications that do play a role here. So I'll just go through some of them.
Sure.
So first, very basic and fundamental question that someone has asked are, what are the indications that one has PCOS? Like, how do I know when to get myself checked for PCOS, and when is the right time exactly?
Good question. So, if a woman is missing her periods very frequently, if she's missed her periods for more than 35, 40 days, and she's gaining weight, and or she's developing acne, any hair growth, upper lip, lower lip, body around the breast, nipples, any form of, pigmentation in the body, anything at all, male pattern hair growth, male pattern hair loss, she should go to a gynec. If it's happening frequently every 15 days, if it's happening every 45 days that you're missing a period, or there's no period at all, you're gaining weight, go to your gynec. He will tell you how to go about it. Don't go to the internet, don't Google it and find out yourself. Follow the right path. So that's how I would advise you all to go about it.
Great, yes. So since you mentioned the point of pattern baldness and other such symptoms, so one person has asked, is having hair fall and PCOS, I mean, and having regular periods, does that necessarily indicate PCOS?
No.
And
So, yeah, sorry, go on. Sorry.
yeah, nothing. And any more modalities of prevention of hair falls, and that's an very integral part of life for us. So
Okay, very, very simple answer to this. So, if your periods are absolutely regular, you are more or less out of the fire. But you're getting acne, you're getting pigmentation, you're getting hair fall, hair loss. There's definitely a male hormone that is raised over here. So the male hormone being raised also is enough to warrant some form of medication or treatment. Now there are various variants of PCOS. Even PCOS has variants where a patient might have normal periods, might just have weight gain, might have little hair growth, but no acne, no hair fall, no irregular periods. You have to investigate the patient the same way. You do an ultrasound, you make sure you get the hormone reports in. The hormone reports are very important. Each case, everyone can't do the same test. You have to do the specific test for the specific patient. You can't ask your friend कि तूने क्या किया था मैं same करती हूँ. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to get your tailor-made prescription and advice. Get your blood test done. Depending on the blood tests, Gauri, you will come to know exactly what is the requirement, and depending on the imbalance, you treat it. And then the patient requires to undergo follow-ups, and usually they do very well. If it's a hormone issue, there are other causes of hair loss. There is a genetic hair loss. You might have someone whose father is bald, or the mother is losing hair, or the mother's brothers are losing hair, the mother's side, father's side. So even hair loss, even same with hair growth. Now I have seen many North Indian patients, many Punjabi and Sindhi patients who are genetically hairy. It's okay. They might develop little hair on their chin, on their chest. It is not because of the hormones. If the hormones are normal, you can't blame them. So that's what.
okay, right. Another very basic question. Someone has asked that why is this more common among teens or girls in their 20s, and why not in an older age group?
Very good. It is the teens that are having the bad lifestyle now. Excessive stress, poor quality of sleep, excessive digitalization, social media, excessive staying up, junk food eating, no workouts, weight gain, high sugary foods, no exercise, and no good lifestyle. More common there. Secondly, the lifestyle when you're 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, how you have no physical activity, you like to eat ice creams and sweet cakes and ice creams. Your parents don't know. Now, unfortunately or fortunately, in men, there's no outlet of hormones and their physical appearance and their periods. Women suffer more because of their hormones and periods. That's why it's more prone in women in the younger age, in the teens.
Right. So this also answered another question someone had, that why doesn't this happen, or some similar things happen in men?
Men are
So,
ovaries, na? So it's a
वो तो
polycystic
है,
ovarian
that of
syndrome.
course. Regarding the hormonal aspects of the two different sexes. Okay, one more question that we have is the relationship between being diagnosed with PCOS and future or premature onset of diabetes mellitus.
Very important. So if you have uncontrolled PCOS with weight gain, excessive body weight, high level of insulin is pre-diabetic. That means your body is producing insulin. Okay, it's a good thing, but your body fat cells are insulin resistant. What does that mean, Gauri? This is the body cell with high blood sugar inside it. Now, ideally, insulin goes into the body cell, enters inside, and it breaks the glucose to glycogen. That's a good thing. But when the PCOS happens, you get insulin resistant, and the body fat cells are not penetrable or they are resistant to insulin. So the insulin is free in the body. The insulin being free in the body causes weight gain and pigmentation. So this is the issue. High insulin, and you get eventually, if a patient is uncontrolled, you end up getting diabetes or raised blood sugar. It's a big issue. So many patients of mine who are having high insulin now in their 20s, we are very, very strictly controlling the diabetes, so they will have a better 40 and 50.
Right. Okay. Um, let's just go. I'm just going through the questions once more. Another question that we have is what is sort of the recovery rate of PCOS, and is it completely curable?
So
And
I'll tell you what. Now, once you see a patient of PCOS and you achieve regular periods on her, और कुछ नहीं करने का है. She loses weight, she achieves regular periods. Now patients eventually come to PCOS for two reasons only. One, for regular periods, to have regular periods and regular health and hormones, and second, for trying to conceive, get pregnant. So one is, if you get the patient regular periods without any pills, you have achieved success. Second thing is, if you get patient pregnant on PCOS, again it's a good thing. But if a patient is having regular periods and is getting pregnant, if she still has PCO ovaries, don't bother. Sometimes the ovary remains big in size, and you go to a sonologist or a lab, hospital lab radiologist, it will still show PCOD. You don't have to worry about that. The main aim is to get the hormones and the periods right. The PCO ovaries don't need to be done anything to them. They will get smaller with time if the patient has lost significant weight. But if they don't worry. The main thing of treatment over here is getting regular periods without any medication on your own is success in PCOS. If
okay.
that's what answers your question.
Right. Can you also shed some light on the medication aspect? Because often OCPs are administered to individuals diagnosed with PCOS, probably uncontrolled PCOS.
So very good, you answered my question. So it's uncontrolled PCOS with irregular periods. If the periods are irregular to the extent that it's been 4 months, 6 months. Now I've had a patient for 1 year no periods. You can't do anything. You have to attain a period by giving her some tablets. What about the next period? You have to give her 6 to 8 months of birth control pills depending on the case to case. I've given for 3 months, 6 months, I've given all these people. You have to do this till she achieves a body weight. So, what do the birth control pills do, Gauri? They give her time to lose body weight. As the patient loses 15% of her body weight, 15% I'm starting with. That means if a patient is 100 kgs, she has to become 85. If a patient is 80, she gets 67, 68. So 15% body weight is when the hormones start getting back to normal gear. If there's no weight loss of 15% body weight, this is not going to happen. So 15% body weight loss, this eventually leads to the hormone correction. Once the hormone correction has happened, you can stop the birth control pills. Leave her without it. Then she has to maintain on lifestyle and her exercise. Then also there's a second drug called as metformin. If a patient has insulin resistance, like I explained in the last question, she requires a high dose metformin depending on the insulin value. Along with that, there are other chemicals like myoinositol, decarboninositol. So this depends on the case to case. This is not a generic prescription. So it depends on case to case, but birth control pills are very crucial and necessary if the patient has a very, very erratic and irregular cycle or no cycle at all.
Okay. So since you've mentioned, since we're on this line, could you also tell us the certain side effects OCPs have and how we can avoid them at its best?
See, if you go on to Google and type side effects, you will get some 200 side effects. But I'll tell you a clinical practice. I read it every day. The most common is nausea, gastritis, or headache. Now you'll go on to Google and read DVT, you'll go and read breast cancer, breast lumps, you'll go and read gallstones. It's very, very rare. But if the patient is a chronic smoker, if she has some coagulation blood defect, then she's prone to get conditions like stroke, DVT. But you have to take history. You can't give a patient yellow OC pills low. You have to ask her of smoking, ask her of DVT, ask her of any body bleeding disorder. That's when you don't give birth control pills. And let's be honest, the very low dose pills don't cause any side effects of such kinds. The most common is nausea and migraine.
Right. As the highlight of the statement is to not Google symptoms at all. That's not the
Yeah,
right thing
it's
to do.
actually a waste of time. Actually, when the patients come to us, it takes 20 minutes to get over the Google question, then we get over the normal treatment. So it's really quite time consuming and irritating.
I can understand. Another aspect let's touch upon is non-obese PCOS that's often encountered in people who are not obese or they don't get weight as uh, normally as it presents. So anything about that?
So very similar treatment actually, but the advantage is they don't have much weight loss to do. But the hormones can be as imbalanced as they were in the non-obese PCOS. The challenge over here is that there's no body dysmorphia, there's no irregular periods, but definitely hormones are hormones. So I've seen such thin girls with a very bad acne, with irregular or no periods, and low body weight, and things like that. So you have to ask them to maintain a normal body weight. A normal body weight is BMI from 18 to 24. BMI is, if you know the definition, it's kg, weight in kg upon height in meter square. So that's the BMI. So maintain normal BMI, maintain a good diet, high protein diet, and depending on the same hormones, whichever comes imbalanced, you treat that.
Right. I think most of the questions that are even there currently in the chat box, you've touched upon them. A lot of questions again, which will probably reiterating whatever you settle now is lifestyle modifications. So in depth about how to change lifestyle. I mean, of course, eat healthy and indulge in physical exercise regularly, but something more detailed about that.
Now, people ask me these questions again, but lifestyle comprises of three things: diet, exercise, and sleep. You have to have a healthy diet. You can't eat so much food on a plate with rice and bread and roti and have a sweet dessert and expect to become thin. Doesn't work that way. If you go and see people like Deepika Padukone and Ranveer Singh, they hardly eat. They eat like birds. They don't look like this on their own. Huh? This is a lot of hard work. Virat Kohli, for example, he'll have like a chicken breast piece at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and have salad at 7 o'clock in the evening since last 10 years. That's his life. So my point is, they'll have to really, pull your socks up for weight loss. Nothing happens for free. Like life, nothing. If there's no pain, there's no gain. So I would say a very strict diet. I don't know how to imply a word more strict than strict. Then there are other things like a very very good exercise regimen. Now you can do HIIT, you can do yoga, you can do cardio, you can do anything you want. You can dance, you can jump on the bed, but you have to spend 60 minutes a day of a very very good workout. Go for a run, do some power yoga, do dancing, but you should have a heart rate that goes 1.5 times of normal. Third thing, you can't stay up late, watch a Netflix binge a show till 3 4 in the morning. No, you have to knock it off by 1 or before 12:30 or by 12 and wake up at 7:38. And you have to have a very very sound sleep. So that's something I again imply over here. So eventually, if you follow a good lifestyle, if you follow a good diet, you will get success. And in the majority of our patients who've been severe PCOS, gotten pregnant, they've gotten lucky because they also have a good ovulation. Secondly, ovulation induction has worked for them. I'm talking about a little diversifying here. But definitely, if a patient doesn't want to go back to her PCOS and everything, she has to maintain a good lifestyle. I'm not saying PCOS can't get pregnant. They get pregnant all the time. In fact, PCOS patients are prone to getting twins because they have so many eggs and follicles. But the idea is, if you don't want to be on medication always, lifestyle is the best medicine.
Right, yes. Another question from a very medical point of view, I hope everyone here are somehow related to the medical fraternity, is the relationship between estrogen and PCOS.
So, sorry.
The relationship between estrogen and PCOS.
Yeah. So PCOS is a estrogen disorder. PCOS, things like fibroids, adenomyosis, endometriosis are all because of hyperestrogen. So when we give a patient birth control pills, it contains estrogen and progesterone. The type of progesterone is very important. There are different birth control pills for either you want to lose weight, you want to get better skin, you want to get rid of acne, you want to have regular cycles. So the progesterone component is the actual treatment. So excessive estrogen is not good and causes conditions like this. So that is what causes the irregular periods actually. So by giving progesterone, we balance them out. They are like antagonist hormones over here, and you balance them out and you do very well. The birth control pill is really a Nobel Award winning discovery because patients with irregular periods, patients who want birth control, who want to maintain their cycle, balancing, it does everything. It's very good.
All right. So many of our questions are over from our end. All that the audience had. We had a pre-filled form that had all the questions. So you've touched upon everything. Certain vague questions like how would I talk to someone who has PCOS? Like what do I tell them about and everything? So
Tell them hi. Tell them hi. Don't worry. Just see a good gynac, and there's so much available. You won't believe it, Gauri. I wake up in the morning and I at least answer to 15 DMs on Instagram. 15. And out of 15, I would say 10 are on irregular periods or PCOS or someone with PCOS trying to get pregnant. But I don't think it's so difficult to access. You have to find a good person, a good doctor, and he or she will guide you accordingly. And you have to follow the steps. Now, always I would say don't take multiple paths. You follow one God. I'm assuming everybody their own way. No predictions over here. So follow one path, follow one doctor, follow one dietitian, follow one lifestyle, and if you're able to follow that, it's good enough.
right. That's the correct treatment modality. So just a couple of questions in the comment box. Why prescribe combined OC pills when we can prescribe POP like progesterone only pill?
You can. So it depends case to case. Now, how do I answer that here? So if a patient is having no weight gain, if she's having no major symptoms, she only wants to balance the cycles. You can give POPs also, but there are indications. You can't give it to everybody, anybody. You can. So the patient, if you once you start in the patient over a course of 2, 3, 4 months, you can switch over to POPs. Many of our patients are on POPs.
All right. And any other anecdotes from your experience and from your clinical practice that you'd like to share with us? Any learning experiences?
No, I think hard work never goes waste. So as far as you're talking about me or my patients you mean.
Anything, the patients.
So basically, anything in life doesn't happen overnight. Now, if you talk to a patient who's going for infertility treatment, infertility, maybe IVF or an IUI or PCOS management, weight loss, you have to have patience. Now, we have patients over here who give us a call. Doctor, it's been 4 months. I just lost 2 kgs. So I always tell them, did you work hard towards it? No, I worked very hard. Very hard. Only last week I went, 1 week I went outside and I ate outside for a week. So I'm like, how you lose weight? You have to be consistent. You should want to lose 2 kgs a month. Secondly, if someone's going through IVF or IUI, a patient who's going through infertility requires you have to be very, very empathetic. You can't be in a hurry. You can't, be impatient with them. You have to explain, communicate, counsel. So I always tell all my colleagues, all my juniors who we train, that you behave as if you are in the same boots of the patient. You just think what she's undergoing, the peer pressure to conceive, to lose weight, to have regular periods, getting compared to other girls on social media. You have to have empathy. The day you don't have empathy, that day you aren't a doctor. So I've always told everybody, try to look at every patient like your mother or sister, so you end up feeling for them better. Of course, you can't get too personal, you have to be professional at the end of the day, but you have to help them in a genuine humanity way.
Right, sir. Avantika, do you have any questions from your end?
I think so was very pretty elaborate about everything. So I don't have any from my end. Anyone from the audience?
Yeah, feel free to unmute yourselves, and you can ask the questions, sirs, right here, patiently sitting, waiting. I think everyone's satisfied.
Hello. I think. Anyways, I have my. I got a message from some Caricia. Just a second.
Yes,
Uh, Beautiful
she's
name.
based
Uh,
uh,
Caricia.
Carissa
Yeah.
Cashel.
Uh, is she here?
So, um, are you here? You can unmute yourselves if that's okay.
Uh, Putting-
All
yeah, good
right.
question. Is she here? This person?
She
I don't think she's
is.
there. Oh, she's written the question. She's definitely there. She's
Yeah.
definitely there. She's written the question. Okay, so Carissa, definitely, if you've been on the OC pills for 2 years, I would not do that if I was your doctor. But I don't want to, be anything against that person who's giving you. So I would give the patient OC pills for 6 years, for 6 months, sorry, 6 months, and then give them a break for 2 months. Because when you have OC pills for so long, they basically your periods are dependent on the birth control pill hormones. There's one disorder called as post pill amenorrhea, where a patient develops absent periods after stopping the pill. So I don't give it for so long. Give it for 6 months, take a break, let her get 2 periods on her own, then restart the pills. Even for patients who are taking the birth control pills for their contraception, who are married and who want to get pregnant, who want to space their families. Same for PCOS. Over 6 months, I have never prescribed. I always take a break of 2-3 months, and the patient eventually, by those 6 months over, they end up losing their body weight or they get their hormones imbalanced. So we don't usually use this pill for more than 6 months. I was told maximum 9 months, but luckily till now my patients haven't required more than 6 months. They themselves stop it. They get regular periods. They work on their body weight and they get better.
Hope that's been answered.
I hope that
Another
answered
question.
Carissa. Yeah.
Yeah. Another question. Good evening, sir. Is just missing periods by a few days,
Anush,
irregularity in the cycle, a danger sign for PCOS without any other symptoms?
no, not at all. No, no, not at all. So if you have just irregularly missed one period, it's okay. I read a German journal that day in OBGYN, British journal, German British journal. So they've written that if a girl in 12 months, even if she gets 10 periods, it's okay. Basically, in 12 months, if you get 10 calendar months periods, it's okay if you miss 2 periods a year. So it's absolutely okay. It happens in stress, happens in weather changes, happens in anxiety, happens in weight loss. It's okay. So you don't have to be too hard on yourself. But you should not cross 35 to 40 days in a period cycle. That's the limit.
Right. Another interesting question, considering India has a huge number of thyroid dysfunction cases, is how could thyroid dysfunction influence PCOS?
You go on mute. I can't hear
Oh, I'm so sorry. I just said there's another question here.
you. Yeah.
How could thyroid dysfunction influence PCOS?
So yeah, so if you many patients have combined thyroid PCOS both. So thyroid also has got the same hormones in the same source of the brain that PCOS has the hormones. So that could happen, and also you end up gaining weight. So the weight gain of thyroid is what links PCOS to it, and you end up getting more weight gain and a more vicious cycle. And the other hormones like prolactin also are raised in thyroid disorders. So thyroid and PCOS definitely is a bad combination, but it's very commonly seen, and we treat it pretty well. But these patients do very well once they start the treatment.
Okay, all right. So we've answered almost everything now. If there's still any other questions, please feel free to unmute yourselves. Another question. How can PCOS
Yeah.
patients avoid eating oily food and dairy products, since a major component of the Indian diet comprise of those, which is oily food and dairy products?
Okay, Gauri, we'll take it as the last question. I have a call to attend after this. There's a patient in Dubai who requires something urgently, so I'll just take this last call. So yeah, so basically, oily products you said, na?
Yes.
What is the
And
question?
dairy
Oily food. Yeah.
products.
So basically, yeah, there are many schools of thought. Yeah. So there are many colleagues of mine, many dietitian colleagues who are saying to go off dairy. But I don't think you should go completely off it. But definitely, the function over here is that the human gut, by evolution, was only made for grass, for vegetarian food. So milk and dairy is something which we have started taking. Looking at our parents and parents and parents to have milk. But besides the breastfed milk which we have as kids, all of us, besides that, we aren't by evolution supposed to be to have milk drinkers. So yes, in PCOS too, for the hormone balancing, they do say to go vegan. They do say to go dairy free. But I would say in limitations. You can't have 6 cups of coffee or tea a day. Have 1 cup of coffee or tea a day. That's enough. And excessive of those, like in the Indians have a lot of desserts with cream and ghee and butter, and you have this ras malai and all these mithais with excessive milk and sugar and cream. Those definitely have to be reduced in PCOS. And for that, oily food definitely, yeah, because cholesterol is not a good thing to happen. Triglycerides. So many of these patients with severe obesity and PCO have dyslipidemia. Dyslipidemia is defined as high cholesterol, high LDL, and low HDL. So low HDL is very bad for the heart. So oily foods, definitely the bad cholesterol, you don't want them. So yes, I would agree with both the statements more or less completely.
All right. That answers it. And thank you once again. Over to
Thank you, thank you.
Avantika.
I'm sorry to the others who have unanswered. So you can, I've just shared the first chat as my Instagram DM and my name, so and my number. You can get to me. I'll revert by tomorrow, and I can help you out on that.
Okay. Over to Avantika.
Yeah.
Hi, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir, for like this was the most interactive session I've ever, attended. Like many questions, like everything was just asked by audience, and you addressed it very, like it was very good, sir. I have no words. We have Shivani Golap on board. She's the founder of our organizing partners, Clinicase. Shivani.
Yes. Hello, Dr. Ankesh. We meet again. Yes, it's so
Yeah,
nice
yeah.
to
How are
see you.
you?
I'm good. How are you? How are you doing?
Yeah, yeah. Pleasure is all mine.
I,
Bolo.
I won't take up much of your time because you have a patient waiting. I'll just say thank you and I'll
Thank
sum
you.
it up. You can take your leave and you can attend your patient.
Yeah, yeah. Tell me,
Thank
tell me. I'm all yours. Thank
Yes,
you.
I would commend again your dedication towards the webinar and how you've completely how you've given a overall information and insights over PCOS, because this is something that we come across as young girls. Even I've had some personal issues pertaining to this topic, and a lot of confusion. My personal confusion was cleared, and a reality check was given. Like, yes, you should have a lifestyle, your proper schedule, sleep schedule, and proper diet. So definitely this was a very amazing session. Thank you so much for again taking out a time out of your busy schedule and
You're
joining
too
us.
kind. You're too kind, Shivani. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Gauri. Thank you, Vandeka. Thank you, everyone who participated. And hope to, have everybody in good health and good life. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Bye. Good night.
Good night, sir.
Avantika, we can have a group picture with our participants attending.
Don't just leave. Please switch on your
Please
camera.
don't leave.
Have
Yeah.
a group picture. Please switch on your cameras.
Who's taking the picture?
Khushi, are you taking? Yeah.
Can we start smiling?
Just say when to stop smiling. Okay, we'll just stop.
Done.
Thank God, it was getting awkward. Okay. Thank you all the attendees for this webinar. I hope this was a very insightful event for everyone. And there is a feedback form, right, for this webinar?
Yes.
Yeah. Wait, I'll just share it in the chat, and everyone please do fill it. Just
I'll share it. I got it. Please fill the form, and your certification will be given based on this only.
Yes. I would like to compliment Gauri. Amazing moderation. I loved your moderation. It was
I would
so
personally like to, compliment Gauri was unwell till tomorrow, and then she made, I don't know, she just
wow.
like she
This is a
came
new
in today.
information. Because
Yeah,
kahi pe bhi, nowhere I thought that you're unwell or you're not up to the mark. You were amazing. Loved your moderation. Really
Thank
good.
you so much. That's so encouraging. Thank you. So
Okay.
another thing for all the attendees here, to tell you about our launch of our exclusive booklet called the Period Talk, and the event that will be happening following this event, which is tomorrow. So we hope you follow our page on Instagram, and you can keep up with all the updates. And if you have any queries regarding anything, you can always DM either me or Avantika, Khushi, even Shivani. So please feel free to do so.
Yes, then you can share it with everyone, all your family members, friends. It's open for everyone, not just for medical students. And please attend the launch. We have lots of things planned. There are 2 singers joining us. It's a musical event, so it's all entertainment based, not just informative and not just where we've talked about a lot of topics. And let's break that monotony and just have a chill session, live music session. So yes, do definitely join us tomorrow, and we look forward to see you guys again. I hope you guys are having a nice time during the whole Pandora Fest. You can send in all your feedbacks in the feedback form. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you everyone for attending. If there's still any queries, please get to us and we'll get back to you.
Thank you so much, guys. Bye.
You're welcome. Thank you for attending.
Avantika, I think so we can end the meeting, right?
Yes.